What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 12 of my Total War Warhammer 3 a modded Count Noctilus Old World campaign. So as we saw last time, we had a fantastic fight against Teclis as well as a army of the Golden Order with Noctilus, but the big fight, the potentially a mistake that made it happen was Two Toes Adley versus High Queen Khalida at the Barras, and we did lose, 5 units of the army, and then the rest of the army was severely damaged and nearly overrun. An absolutely magnificent battle, and enough for us to peace out with Khalida and get a few agreements going with her as well. She might break them because, frankly, she doesn't like us very much after what we did, but oh well. I mean, I suppose if we continue moving up the coastline and give her some territory from the Cult of Sigmar, then she might like us a little bit more. Not that we necessarily want any of her units, but Sepulchral Stalkers might work nicely with some of ours, but anyway, it was a lovely time. In terms of what we're doing this time, we are still looking to fight Baron von Heasty, who appeared somewhere in the midst of the ocean there, so Noctilus will be heading southward while sacking a few of the territories of the Golden Order and the Order of Lore Masters on the way. We're still moving towards Albion with these two, and we'll be looking to maybe, I don't know, peace out or at least heavily damage the Rats and the Norskins out here as well, just because they're nearby, and this is a nice little coastline that we should cove up, if nothing else. So, yeah, maybe we'll keep Charlie here coving up all of this while these two move to Albion and make that their mission. Now, two things before we get started. First of all, unfortunately, we did not reach the engagement threshold over the last few episodes. In fact, the engagement and views have dropped off considerably with this campaign. Admittedly, I did promise this would be a short campaign, so that should hardly be surprising. But anyway, that does mean this will be the last of the long episodes for this campaign, and the rest of them will be 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever it is I usually end up doing. Otherwise, I'm going to try to make sure that we get that long victory condition up and running in this particular episode. We just have to... we already got the long victory condition. Well, the real long victory condition is to defeat Baron von Heasty, and the final part of the campaign will still be the invasion of Albion. I still think that there's some cool stuff to do up here, and I do believe the last defenders are up here, and I'd love to see how we fare against the lizardmen up there, and especially with Krokgar in the lead. So, still very interested in that. Anyway, let's get started with whatever it is we have to do, which is not immediately to move Noctilus, but to go to the black market. I think we're going to buy some infamy, and we're going to activate all three of these things for 15,000 gold. So this will give us campaign, movement range, hero action, success chance, campaign, line of sight, post-battle chance, recruit ranks, heroes ranks, casualty or punishment rate, and growth. We want all three of them up and running pretty much at all times now. So we'll do all three. Buy infamy 2 and buy infamy 3. There we go. Now we have all three of those active. We're also going to go sell infamy, and just after having bought it. Now, this is going to cost us a lot, 15,000 infamy, but at the same time, we no longer need it since Baron von Heasty is on the map. So, we'll go for small booty, which gives us income from raiding plus 100% and 25% physical resistance for all melee infantry units. Hungover crew, upkeep reduction, faction-wide ammunition, and reload time reduction for missile troops, and 3 sheets to the wind, income from sacking, looting, and melee attack for all large units. So basically buffs for melee, infantry, ranged infantry, and monsters. Small booty to start, and this will definitely take us just below Baron von Heasty. And sell infamy, a respectable treasure. And one more time, sell infamy, the mother load. Beautiful. All right, that puts us just below, but it'll only take one turn to get back up there, so we're still okay, and we got all those buffs. It also, however, does fix our income, as one of those was an upkeep reduction, which we were waiting on because we had money problems in combination with the fact that we needed to reach 24k infamy to get the Heasty. Anyway, Mr. Noctilus, you're first. Now, you can't reach Flying Fortress here, so you're just going to sack Bog Creeper Camp real quick, and if you are in range of Flying Fortress, we should probably still try to sack it. It's worth 24k now with the bonuses that we've gotten, so obviously auto-resolve this. Let's give this to one of these guys. Doesn't really matter who. Oh, I should have given this to one of the twin axes because they don't have armor piercing, like so. And a sec. Alright, another ship's necro, not that we really need it, and then you can raid. Fantastic. Go into, oh wow, that's barely any. Oh, this place is generating essentially nothing. Anyway, you can sack Flying Fortress next, I guess, and then keep moving down here. Next up, we have Ariane Stand. I do believe you have a battle before you, though I do suppose it does. Well, I guess we'll have to see whether Lewin is going to stay or whether he should run. What does he have in terms of garrison? Oh, fairly decently sized garrison. 2 stacks again. Man, Harry has been getting good battles throughout this in this episode, and he's past level 30, which means he is the first of them that is loyal to the end. ARRY is he's starting to become a contender for this campaign's legendary lord that we add to our community canon forever. Oh, you know what I should have done? I should have named one of the... You know what? I just thought of something stupid. Grenades. Community cannons. Fantastic. Alright, anyway. I'm just amused with myself now. What was I gonna do? I was gonna get you magical reserves and earthing and try to get you arcane conduit, and then we should probably build you out to be a fighter as soon as we can afterwards. You have razor cutlasses, feed the fish. Doesn't really help us as the altars of the abysses buffs don't really do anything for us. Frankly, we should probably max out Retinue Valet, but at the same time, we want more points to get Arcane Conduit, so let's get Kraken's Pull and Vangeist's Revenge, and then the same thing for you. You're missing Lucky Charm, aren't you? Wait, did the other one have Lucky Charm? I feel like it should have. Yeah. You're gonna get Lucky Charm, because 15% missile resistance is quite necessary, and then you're gonna get Curse of Years into... I'm gonna say magical reserves. We can use Vangeists if needed. We don't necessarily need to pop Wind of Death in that particular battle. You, in Gunnery, right? You have Scupperum, you have Powder Wet, and I guess we'll still want the ammunition, but let's start with Shark Bait, simply because if you get charged by Lewin or something, you will die. Ammo sacks for you as well. There we go, that's good. ARRY, looks like you've got another battle at hand. Pyrrhic Victory. But I think we should be okay here, as long as, once again, our back line of cannons and whatnot doesn't get overrun. But we do have the bonuses that we just got by selling and buying infamy, so we're a little bit tankier than we were before. Go. Alright, here we go. ARRY has done a fair amount of sieges, a fair amount of field battles, but I would say not a fair amount of these minor settlement battles. So we'll see how his boarding crew works in this sort of situation. We're going to start the battle up by tearing down the platform and that the peasant bowmen were on, who, surprisingly, more or less unharmed, but that's alright. We'll leave the boarding crew to deal with them, and switch the cannon fire instead to knock down that enemy. Okay, it was destroyed before I even finished the thought. Anyway, Towers down, there's another platform and more bowmen on top of it, and it looks like the enemy will drop an Urnon's Thunderbolt on some summoned zombies who were sent there to distract them, while the rest of our forces make their way inside the settlement. Gonna get a few volleys of cannon fire into this unit of peasant bows as the boarding crew make their way forward, with the crabby lords, heroes, and support unit leading as well. Oh, I do notice that the crab from the Altar of the Abyss seems slightly bigger. Good to know. Good to know. And it looks like the peasant bows are done for, but that's not where the enemy has concentrated most of their forces, surprisingly. Seems to have deployed most of them far away. I imagine that it did this because all of them are thus out of range of our cannon fire, with some small exceptions, and the enemy didn't want us to be able to fire upon them as we fought and then just bombarded them to destruction. If the AI is actually capable of thinking that way, but I have been noticing that it has deployed like this on occasion, and if it weren't for our cannons, it would have been beneficial to simply block us off and prevent us from entering the enemy's settlement. Anyway, looks like the Knights Errant are the next target. The Knights Errant, of course, a fragile unit and will be heavily damaged and not really a threat to the boarding crew anyway, but the Pegasus Knights are a different question, especially rank 9 by the looks of it. Pegasus Knights who will land in the midst of our boarding crew below. And that's probably fine, though. They land kind of completely surrounded by boarding crew and will get surrounded them rather quickly, both in melee and with a little bit of range support, though they keep us blobbed up and thus are ready for another Urnon's Thunderbolt to drop down and hit us as well. I thought for a second that was a comment of Cassandora. That would have been much uglier. But anyway, I'm sure that'll dish out damage, but the Pegasus Knights still reasonably fragile units and will, by the looks of it, get torn apart while we heal our own units up and buff them with the Van Hell's Danse Macabre. A melee attack relatively low on the boarding crew usually, but bumped up enough like this so we should be able to tear through those Pegasus Knights. Still, a brave thing of them to do, and not so brave of Lewin to keep hovering up there and not come down with his Pegasus Knights. Alright, last of them are surrounded and, oh wow, sending half of our own units flying. And there we go. How are we doing up here? Looks like some other enemy knights have decided to make their way down, and we'll simply distract them with our lords, our heroes, or single entities, while the boarding crew and the ghost helmsman fire upon them. I see some mounted yeomen up here as well, and well, they're probably taking hits for their knightly masters, which does make sense. And down go the pile of cab that attempted to charge down this ramp. And, oh wow, I think killed, wait, a couple of them did manage to escape. In fact, 3 of them managed to escape. Good job to them. And, oh wow, Knights Errant coming back with 3 units and 250 HP, really? Okay, game. I feel like one of our own units would definitely not have come back at that amount of damage, but oh well. We make our way up the ramp now, since the Knights are gone, to fight off another unit of peasant bows, and ooh, Lewin. Is he at last going to make his way into the fray? He has got pretty scary stats, and while we do manage to land a couple of hits on him with our Carronades, he moved so quick that we weren't able to do all that much. That's alright, this is going to be a job for ARRY and Stan. Now, he doesn't have too much in the way of points in his melee line or in his personal fighting skill tree, so we're going to help him out by firing our cannons and a little bit of guns at Lewin as well, while ARRY keeps him locked in place. And I'm sure ARRY will take damage here, who's down to about 30% of his HP, but we do have an emergency potion of toughness to heal ourselves up and buff up our melee defense and physical resistance or whatever it does as soon as needed. While the cannons continue firing on Lewin, who's down to nearly half HP at this point, and keeping roughly pace with ARRY, who's hurt and has been forced to pop the Potion of Toughness and the Potion of Healing as well. While this fight is going on, it looks like Lewin has called knights to his aid, rather than coming to the aid himself of those Pegasus Knights. And of course, there are a bunch of men-at-arms that have moved in to distract the boarding crew, which are no longer able to fire their pistols directly at Lewin. That's alright though, they can fire him at the knights, and same thing goes for the cannons as well. Lewin down to about 20% of his HP, and the fight also continues up above as well. Pretty fun working our way through these minor settlement battles with the boarding crew army. If we had Depth Guard, we would have been able to tear through these guys much, much faster than the boarding crew, but I like the sort of slower nature of this particular battle. Especially as this way the enemy has very much a chance to hold us off, especially if we don't drop damaging spells upon them. We'll keep it mostly to enemy range units. Anyway, Lewin is down to 10% of his HP and is fading, as he does have that Wraith Storm on him still as he backs off. But it looks like he will survive with 217 HP and will come back. Well, good for him. He'll come back, but it'll only take one hit to bring him and Beaky down from the sky. So just need one gunner to actually land a shot. Come on, somebody do it. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Is he actually going to manage to land? He is going to manage to land. Impressive, but there we go. It looks like a cannon shot from one of the Wraith Storm carronades actually hits Lewin in the face rather than the body of Beaky, and Lewin gets obliterated. Alright, now we can switch the cannon fire to the rest of the knights, which are still embroiled in combat with our boarding crew, and I suppose the knights can take advantage of their mass and their charges and their mobility here, which is certainly to their detriment. Should have sallied out, perhaps, and tried to go for area in the field, rather than being bogged down in this minor settlement. And away go the mounted yeomen, once again torn apart. I like the Wraith Storm in combination with the sunset. Nice color scheme we got going here. Alright, and on the upper ramp in the upper portion of the enemy settlement, the fight yet continues. Pox arrows have been dropping upon us for pretty much the entire fight. Some of the men-at-arms with bows are starting to run out of ammunition, and down to about 30%, and continue firing upon us. But you gotta remember, we got solid resistances here, 68 armor and 35 physical and 50 missile resistance, so these guys are difficult to damage in that manner when they have all of the supporting units together with them. And of course, those values will also increase if they should drop down to 50%, so we're still looking okay. Battle Pilgrims in here as well, I see, which means we're going to have to kill them into a single man, because, or down to the last, because they're unbreakable. But that's alright. The Ghost Helmsmen here have been in the melee for a long time. I'm wondering how they did damage-wise. 38 kills, nothing too crazy, but, well, their aura is definitely needed here, and they'll still help tank things to some degree due to their massive physical resistances. And due to their, I don't think Ghosts in SFO or in Vanilla anymore, ever since the changes to Ghost heal any better than non-ghostly units, but, well, it's all good. And they should be just fine. And man, this is a big old blob. We're going to have to try to clear it out a little bit, so we'll drop a Tomb Swarm upon it. Otherwise, it's going to take absolute ages to work our way through it. At the very least, from this direction. Which I note because if we finish up with all the units down here, who are now once again dealing with Knights of the Realm, if we finish up with all of these guys, we should be able to make our way up that ramp as well from the other direction, and then hit that blob of enemies in the flanks and rear. And just gotta make sure to bring down these knights who do keep looping around, coming down the various other ramps and keeping us distracted. But the boarding crew yet hold. And frankly, the single entities, the big boys, which, once again, I've been toying with the idea of taking them off those big mounts of the big crabs. The thing is, they do provide anchoring points in the line, and it's going to be difficult for enemies with a lot of mass to charge through when one of these are sort of interspersed among the lines of boarding crew. So that is an argument. There is an argument to be made for keeping them there. And keeping them on the big, massive crabs. Anyway, it looks like the knights are done. Okay, one of the knights is done. Another unit is still in the fight. Mounted yeomen this time, though, and they'll get torn apart by the boarding crew much quicker than the Knights of the Realm did. And just essentially, this battle devolved into two big skirmishes, which feels appropriate considering we separated our army into two. One sent up here, and then one sent up here, which is still very much fighting. And still keeping relatively okay in terms of HP. And ooh, that's not good. It looks like the enemy is going to drop Neuron's Thunderbolt right in the middle of our formation of boarding crew, considering they're blobbed up and they have no spell resistance whatsoever. And that's gonna do some damage. I do love the way that the knights on their mounts tower over our shambling corpses. And it feels appropriate. The only sort of thing that doesn't feel appropriate about this, wherein an undead battle is concerned, is the fact that the enemies are the ones that actually outnumber us. But as their numbers dwindle, we will start to outnumber them, which will once again turn us back to lorefully appropriate. Anyway, Vampire Captain is still in the lead of this particular portion of our army. We have a Lord and a Hero that have the lore of vampires, each of which tends to lead a sort of sub-contingent of our forces, simply because they can then heal the blob. Out here, a unit of men-at-arms has decided to flank us as well. We do have to leave at least a few boarding crew to protect the other units, however, as the cannons are here by themselves, and we don't want these guys charging and killing off the carronade crews. Alright, it looks like this unit of men-at-arms has been gunned down. Carronades are still hanging around, and I can't let those knights-errant move there, so we'll try to get the carronades in position. We finally charged the second blob up the ramp to help the ones that have been engaged this entire time. Pretty cool battle so far, I gotta admit. I'm happy we decided to fight this one. Anyway, charged up the ramp and are now tying up all of those piles of enemy range units. Granted, a lot of them are running out of ammunition, or have continued to run out of ammunition, but it's really time that they stop firing on these guys who have been taking hits for the entire battle. Ooh, zombie-powered boarding crew has dropped below 50% HP, bumping their melee defense up to 79, and now 75 missile resistance and 35 physical resistance in combination. Beautiful. And it looks like they finally sort of broken through the choke point and are now starting to spread out a little more and cutting through those droves of men-at-arms. I would also say it's probably due to the fact that the knights appear to have dwindled in number, or fled, or been destroyed, and thus most of the enemy remaining infantry will be cut down as our own infantry, with the exception of enemy foot squires and possibly battle pilgrims, will be superior. As the enemy runs, as the enemy breaks, that's when we activate another Wrath of Hammonar, so that their forces just run into those vortexes, and with that, the battle's ours. Very nice. I really enjoyed that one. Heck of a lengthy fight, too. What, about 12 minutes of non-stop action for the boarding crew? I'm willing to bet some of them racked up some very solid numbers. 369 for this one, and nearly 42,000 damage. Beautiful. Ooh, there we go. Another fantastic fight for ARRY, who just absolutely brawled his way through 2 full stacks of Bretonnians, and Lewin himself as well. Very nice. Surprisingly, no veterancy gain, not even 1 bronze chevron on the newly acquired boarding crew, but oh well. We got 2 levels worth of XP, 10,000 gold, pretty solid, and we will establish another Pirate Cove. Charge bonus plus 10, you know what, that kind of helps the zombie pirate boarding crew. I mean, they're still too slow and generally won't be charging anything, but in theory. Anyway, we'll keep you here, sir. We may move to fight this guy as well, but we might also just head out to sea. A single stack, is a single stack really worth ARRY's time, I guess is the question. Overzealous speed and charge bonuses probably would be better on something like the ghosties, specifically. Oh right, we gotta make the cove into something. You don't generate a lot of money, so I guess we'll go for another Pirate's Rest. I mean, we could start doing these ones, the Smuggler's Coves, because this generates basically nothing, which is at least 200 money. At the same time, 200 is also not a lot. But anyway, let's see what else we've got to do, shall we? You guys are now good, Maddie. Ooh, wait. The Rampager standard. I just want to put this on the Night Terrors here, who do not do magical damage, surprisingly, huh? Okay. Rampager standard for you, and then we'll do itemization for you before you fight, obviously. Also, we can move you two while we're here. Move you two down the coast, and then start doing things in order again. Maddie, switch to raiding. You're getting 1,000, not too bad. And then move southward while raiding the enemy. And there's still more coastline to annoy, and we gotta keep trying to level up the gunnery weights as best we can, at least until they all get range, to continue buffing up those corpse bass. They just chuck dead fish at you. Corpse bass spewers. Okay, I'm tempted to name one of them that, but anyway, let's see. This completely distracted me and I lost my train of thought. You grab the felled cargo, which I believe is just going to get you arms and armor, but that might make it easier for you to do something like grab the sea corpse here. Going to go into march stance, go right beside it, but not into it directly, because I believe it is a battle. Alright, and a rating, you say? Where do we have rating here? Oh, there's a little army out here. I was gonna go for Sahagun, but I guess we could go after Deathmaster Snitch, depending on if we can reach him or not. We'll find out in a second. Let's continue doing it in order. Two Toes, you're stuck where you are. And Burke Black, you are not. You were supposed to go for DeChiezo. Doesn't look like it's a crazy fight or anything like that. Oh, we got more stacks here, though. Kind of mad. What do we have in here? We have another full stack. Man, that's a lot of handgunners. A concerning number of handgunners. I'll think about it. We might fight this and sack it and then back away, or we might not. Trontio actually has lots of defenders, though. So there is potential for that if we want to overrun them with crabs. But generally speaking, we're trying to move northward a little bit. Anyway, you stay there for now. I hope I don't forget about this. Burke Black, that's you. Oh, Bones. You were supposed to go to Miragliano, and I think that hasn't changed, so try to land there. And we got Salvatorio Ganza and a pretty solid garrison here. What's the feat, you say? I mean, we'll give them a chance to sally out. We could just bombard the settlement into the dust, but we know what that looks like, and let's face it, they'd have no chance if we did. You need to land and actually join O'Bones' army. I wonder if this guy's gonna join. We'll probably not keep Miragliano for ourselves, because we're not really keeping anything. It's a decent place to put up a cove and generate some cash. It is a tier 5 after all. But generally we'll want to cross over to the Blighted Marshes and try to grab the Great Mills for Skaven Blight, to trade it to them and try to get them to attack the World Walkers rather than be friends with them. Once again, I'm sorry, Wolfick. I love his character, but you're kind of in our way, and thus you're going to have to be destroyed. Now, looks like you, Charlie Wake, unfortunately can't reach Deathmaster Snitch unless I'm mistaken. Try to land and see for sure. Yeah. Alright, go grab Sahagun. I mean, it's just a little tiny pile of Skaven slaves. Auto-resolve this. And we'll occupy it and trade it to our allies. And hey, we got the campaign, we got the seasoned campaigner from that. Anyway, we have a lot of coastline we can still annoy and get more pirate coves up and running, so that's what you'll do. Burke Black, you're stuck where you are for now. Got Sharp and Co, you're fine as well. Sam the Clotter, I believe you were going into the long way around, and that hasn't changed. And I believe you're the last who needs to move. Alright, so we'll send you through. Like so. Gotta get you somewhere where we can actually use those animated hulks, and the closest place will be wherever it is you're going. I haven't checked Diplo in a while, so let's just take a quick look at that. And Ramatep Dynasty wants to trade with us. Nobody else really wants to trade with us. A bunch of Skaven clans want to do non-aggression and stuff with us, and frankly a bunch of orcs do as well, but kind of mad about it. Clan Fester really wants to be friends, but they're too weak and nobody wants an alliance with us. Remas really want to peace out, but we're kind of still moving through close to their territory, so I'd say no. Yeah. Alright, plus we've seen the artillery army fight a lot, and the crab army I'd like to see fight more, which is, I mean, they're the closest enemies after all. What is this? Oh, right, that's fine. You know what, let's fight this. Why not? We may as well enjoy the crabs. What do we got here? So you have impressive seacraft, and I think none of this will help you either, will it? You have no artillery, so Arsonist is out. I guess you could get bonus versus large, you could get movement range, or you could get bonus rating and just a bonus rating, really. Or the extra campaign movement range, but frankly, I don't know, frankly either one is kind of meh. Let's do Lucky Charm. We definitely want Soul Blight because it's a fantastic spell, and I do want you to get Evasion, so let's get one more point. I'm going to say probably Doom and Darkness, although an emergency aspect of the Dread Knight can be useful. If our units start melting away in this particular case, so rather than morale shocking the enemy, doing that to save one of our own units. The only thing I don't like is we'd have to invest 2 points in it, and out of that, I'd rather gate Fate of Biuna, just in case, and we should probably, frankly, make you a stronger fighter as well. Anyway, you two, you have Feed the Fish, which was the main thing. We could get you both Tenacity to make you a little bit less costly, and let's get you Monkey Jacket and Lucky Charm as well, and then we'll do the same here. Lucky Charm, Monkey Jacket, and Tenacity. You are also lacking in Tenacity, so let's get you Utility Belt through Tenacity, and then let's get you Shark Bait, because frankly, you're kind of going to be in the middle of the blob of crabs, and then pretty likely, I would say, actually getting damaged. There we go, a little better. Burke Black, let's hit these piles of handgunners. Not much we'll be able to do against the Pistoliers, but as long as we charge through, the range shouldn't be crazy. But we do still have to be very wary of our guys getting focused down and obliterated. No missile resistance on them either, right? That's a little bit concerning. Go. Alright, here we go. For those who can't get enough crab action, we are back at it once again, and heading directly towards that big old pile of enemy handgunners in something of a blob. We gotta make sure that we stay near Sinister Snips and Citizen Snips, our Altars of the Abyss, as we do need their auras to make us just that little extra bit tankier. We will try to make the enemy move towards us by dropping our Zufbar 42 pounders and our Norse Roar and whatever the cannon fire abilities are, but frankly they don't do a lot of damage. I mean, that second one did what, like 15% HP damage off that unit? Not a big deal. But that's alright. It just means more work for the crabs, and I'm sure they'll be plenty happy about it. And I'm going to speed this up a little bit as we approach the enemy, and there we go. Here comes the charge. I love to see these guys like on a beach battle sort of map, and just like see them like coming out of the water at an enemy army. That's got to be a scary sight. And the enemy will fire back though as crossbows, and oh wow, that is a garish color scheme as well. The crossbows and the handgunners alike will fire upon our units. Hopefully not too many of them will focus down any single unit, as we don't want them to, well, focus them down, and we prefer that they spread their damage out. Speaking of spreading out, we are also giggle, but we are going to send 2 units of flanking, a sort of blobs of crabs, swarms of crabs, led by the rotting leviathans, to try to tie up more units of handgunners, as every single unit that is tied up is a unit that isn't firing away and killing off crabs. Regardless of how many enemy units of melee are still fighting, the handgunners have to be chased, and that's what we're doing. We can see that we've broken through the enemy line with about half of our units, who are now engaging the enemy ranged, while the other half of melee units keep the enemy melee distracted. And this has got to be a lot of havoc on this battlefield. Just your entire army, there's giant rotting crabs all over the place, zombies firing shotguns at you from their backs. Not a place you want to be, most likely. And ooh, does look like some enemy and Knights of the Black Rose decided to charge in, but of course we do react to that by sending one of our rotting Leviathans in to deal with them. And these things are super tanky, and they do hit pretty hard, so they should be able to keep those Knights of the Black Rose from distracting or killing off any of the other crabs. Although I'm willing to bet that the Knights would struggle against the crabs anyway, especially the handgun crabs. And the rotting Promethean gunnery mobs, I mean. I imagine The regular Rotting Prometheans would be able to keep them in place, but it would take them a long time to work through them. Still, credit where it's due, the Knights of the Black Rose are a fantastic, fantastic looking unit. And gotta love those aesthetics. Although I like the ones with the green a little bit more than the sort of red themed ones. A little bit too on the nose, edgy wise. But either way, fantastic looking units. Anyway, looks like those guys are still in the fight, but the enemy army is starting to dwindle. The balance of power has shifted to about 90% in our favor now, and most of the enemy backline has failed to achieve their purpose. The Lord, the Admiral, Burke Black, has been fighting enemy lords and enemy heroes like these Empire captains for this entire time. Although the Rotting Promethean Gunnery Mob should be able to dish out decent damage to them as well, but we've essentially been spamming Spirit Leech with him to help, because this army isn't going to be the best at dealing with single entities, with the exception of when they get surrounded by Rotting Promethean Gunnery Mobs, or possibly by the Rotting Leviathans. But still, it's better to deal with the smaller ones, especially with the Spirit Leech, as they're small targets and difficult for the crabs to properly surround. Anyway, looks like the last vestiges of the enemy army are going to, by the looks of it, start shattering. I see or start routing and shattering. The balance of power has shifted to 100% in our favor, and the chain route is here at last. Well done once again to the crabs. It's such an entertaining army. I still hope to get a couple more Rotting Leviathans in here, but well, they can do just fine without as well. We'll see if we have the time, or the inclination to stop Noctilus somewhere and have him recruit stuff. Alrighty, very, very nice. The crabs did good work. We lost 4 of them by the looks of it, which is not too bad. Granted, almost all of them were down to about half HP or so, but they didn't lose a lot of models, which means they just heal back up to more or less full HP. The Lamprey's Revenge did fantastic. 328 kills and 30k damage, which is pretty solid, but it is a Regiment of Renown. Non-Regiment of Renown, however, the Barrett's Privateers, 25k damage and nearly 300 kills as well. And for the regular Krabby Boys, Deathly Hermits got the most damage at 16k. And 13 and 10 for Scuttlefish and Leon the Lobster here, which did pretty decently and beat some of the bigger crab mobs as well. I don't know. Oh, the Citizen Snips and Sinister Snips both get, well, they don't get damage because they're shrines, but or altars rather, but because the entire enemy army is destroyed because it's a settlement, they do get kills credited towards them. So good for them. Sack the place and then go right back into raiding. Oh, lovely, and I wonder where we get more rating value, here or here. Let's find out. Here we're at 752, and here we're at 1261. We'll take it. Alright, now we're not at war with these guys, but there are several places where we want to potentially set up some coves, so let's go there. It's a cove kind of campaign after all, and I do believe that's all we had to do this turn. Oh wow, we are actually positive income due to the sheer amount of raiding that we're doing right now, which is pretty awesome. Though, admittedly, these guys aren't actually earning a crazy amount in terms of raiding. Certainly not enough to pay for their own armies, but, well, better than nothing. At least we don't have to worry about the cash as much, at least until I build the other 2 armies that I wanted to do shortly. We also have an outpost upgrade here at Skaven Blight, though the allegiance income is still relatively low, so yeah, kind of meh. I assume you're not going to be able to kill Trusty Montfort. Well, actually, no one can kill Trusty Montfort because he's a legendary lord. Anyway, let's end the turn. Alrighty, and it looks like they will indeed sally out of Miragliano because the reinforcing army, or a reinforcing army, has moved on in. And yeah, that's a decent amount of stuff. Will it be enough to overcome the weight of fire from the artillery army? I guess we're about to find out. Give them a shot. Alrighty, here we go. Big old pile of Imperial/Southern Realm troops against the artillery army. Will this blob, or these blobs, be enough to overwhelm us? I guess we're about to find out. We do have a pretty nice position here on top of this hill, and a sort of tower and impassable object to protect our flanks as well. The enemy looks like they will move towards their reinforcements, as the vast majority of them will be arriving on the field, well, as reinforcements. So we'll wait, and they'll also be out of range. I suppose we could have deployed here, but a little bit more time for Best to fire into the bigger blobs of enemies, like so. There we go. Now the enemy will have to advance across the battlefield under fire for a long time. Love those secondary munitions from Bessa. It causes absolute havoc in infantry-heavy armies. There we go. Even when Bessa misses, Bessa does not miss. And looks like the first of the enemy units of handgunners are already severely damaged, and the handgunners are obviously going to be the much bigger threat here, as opposed to the enemy melee troops. Cavalry, especially range cavalry, especially things like Outriders with the grenade launchers. A single volley of those, I think we've seen at least once have had them volley into our unit of deck gunners, and it takes about half of their HP, and two will start them melting, so really got to be wary of those guys. Anyway, the enemy still has a long way to go as we continue to fire upon them. And as they go closer, the units of mortars will come into range. Not only the cannons or the carronades and Bess. So it'll become even more dangerous for the enemy infantry as they get closer to us. Here come the Batwing Bombards, very nice, and actually hitting a few of the enemy cavalry, which may be surprising. Might be because these guys are slowed, or might be because they're trying to keep pace with the rest of their infantry, which feels like a bad idea here. That is still a lot of cab, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this flank, another 4 on this flank, plus center. There's a lot. And hello, what do we have here? A unit of Outriders with grenade launchers. Well. And it looks like they're trying to get around us while the rest of their units are approaching in a straight line. Interesting. I wonder if the AI is aware of how dangerous this unit is to us. And hello, we got more units on the right flank, which have moved on in as well, trying to knock them down with some of those handgunners, but fortunately they will fire at our single zombie pirate gunnery mob, which is here to distract them in the first place. So if that works out decently well for us, we'll summon the Face of Death zombies on top of them, distract one unit while we try to gun down the second, and it looks like the Outriders and other units are moving to charge on in, and there's that volley. They will volley. I actually couldn't tell whether they were aiming for the Necrofex or whether they were aiming for the deck guns, but the Necrofex absorbed about a half of their shots, and the Wailing Whalers absorbed the rest. But we can't be letting them fire any more of those, so the Batwing Bombards have switched targets, and the Necrofex Colossus charges on in. No more of those, please. We're going to use the Wrath of Aminar to basically do tiny amounts of damage to enemy cav. It's going to be much better against enemy infantry. But once again, the infantry aren't really the threat here. Tiny little bit of damage to the Necrofex, and fortunately and foolishly, the Bordermen, or the Outriders with grenade launchers, not Bordermen specifically, will fire away at the Necrofex rather than on the fragile units, which works a lot better for us. Alright, or works in our favor. Half HP on those Wailing Whalers, though that is after heals. We really can't be letting them take any more hits. Fortunately, though, the enemy is in range of the deck guns now as well, and their infantry are about to have a very bad day between the fire from them and the Batwing Bombards and the mortars and everything from the artillery, which is basically the entire army. To get in the enemy's way a little bit, we're going to summon a unit of rotting Prometheans and distract them as best we can. Although the infantry have been very slow on the approach for obvious reasons, between getting slowed down and constantly bombarded and attempting to dodge shots from Bess and the other artillery pieces means that slows them further. Still, they are starting to get very close to our hill now. Let's see if a few of them manage to make their way through. It does look like a few of the handgunners have arrived to help the Outriders and are actually firing away at us. Although we do still have that nice position. Ooh, I like seeing the Necrofex Colossus in the background. Right on top of that hill. Big old target, of course, silhouetted against the horizon like that, but that's alright. Frankly, we prefer it being targeted than everybody else. And ooh, those Empire Knights came very, very close to charging our deck gunners. Very dangerous for those guys. But by the looks of it, let's see, the balance bearer has shifted to about 90% in our favor. Most of the enemy infantry is failing, though these guys are so close to getting towards us. In fact, one of the units of spears did manage to reach their Necrofex Colossi, but these guys balk just at the edge of the hill, right before they would have started going towards the deck guns. Beautiful. That could have been dangerous at the end there, but at the end of the day, we just managed to make it. And a few parting bats for the enemies from the Batwing Bombards as well. Most of them, I expect, will have a pretty bad time escaping here. Not that that matters, just for fun, a few extra shots into them. There we go. All those units wiped out. Frankly, they probably should have just attempted to make their way up the hill, as it probably would have been better to die actually swinging your halberd than, you know, bombarded like this from above. Horrifying, horrifying battlefield against the artillery army. Alright, there we go. They did come close to reaching our lines, but just couldn't quite make it there. The two regular mortars aren't doing all that much. The regular Carronades and the Wraithstorms are fine as they are, and we're sniping the enemy lords. Yeah, these should probably be replaced by a couple more of the Necrofexes, just to have a little bit more of a protective melee line, and for the purpose of auto-resolving. Let's see, the deck gunners, funnily enough, the two unnamed ones beat out the named ones in this particular battle. As for the Batwings, once again, the one unnamed Batwing did carry the day. So, and the same thing goes for the Wraithstorm Carronades. Well, you named units better try a little harder. Anyway, we are going to, I guess, have some late captives because, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. You're still there for a turn. Fabrizio is going to want to peace out with us. Not right now. Not right now. And I believe we're basically there towards the end turn. I really want to see where Baron von Heasty ends up. Trade agreement canceled between us and the Seducers of Slaanesh. Yeah, the Slaanesh are being really weird. They constantly make trade agreements and they cancel them and they make them and they cancel them. I don't know what the heck they're going in and out, in and out. I don't know why. Anyway, enemy killed in battle. Scarecrow banner, is that our only Scarecrow banner? Just out of curiosity, or do we have two? No, we do have two. You know what? Artillery army with Scarecrow banner might not actually be a bad idea, just in case enemy range units come a-calling. Connor is who? And Connor is where? Oh, he's part of this army. All right, fair enough. Herald's Varial destroyed. Good job to the Dark Elves. Ready for duty, Marianne Oxenfurt, and a brutal business. Ooh, that's actually good for most other factions, or at least to a degree better than for us. In terms of techs, we have gotten most of the good ones. Let's get the bonus sources large for Zombie Pirate, Deckhands, Mobs, and Depth Guard with Polearms. It only buffs the polearms, but there isn't anything else that is particularly critical to us. I guess missile well, you know what, let's get some ammunition for the artillery pieces. Keeps them in black powder overload a little bit longer. Alright, and then you, I assume, cannot reach Black Claw Lair. You cannot, alright, and thus you're just going to move this way. Alrighty, Noctilus, you're going to sack Flying Fortress real quick, and oh wow, you're barely getting any rating now. But oh well. Baron von Heasty. What is this?
I'll ignore that.
Huh. Well, I didn't expect that. We don't have any army there. Now we could raise one, but that's kind of annoying. Intensifies. Which faction are you part of? You're part of the Southern Realms wait, no. You're all Southern realms. You're part of the Remos faction. Remos is, I take it, the big faction here, which I guess explains why they actually managed to get one of those armies moving. I wanted to set up coves here. We could just peace out with them and then ignore them for now, or just betray them, which would be tremendously amusing as well. Plus, I guess we do still have other stuff to do here. On the other hand, I did want to get another couple of armies up and running. It's just that I don't think that we can raise anything too useful to us here. And raising would mean not getting as much veterancy as well. You know, I'm going to think about this. Let's see where Baron von Heasty is. He's out here. Okay, it looks like he might be hanging in place, which is fine. And because I want Noctilus to get him, as it might be Noctilus's final battle of the campaign. Who knows? Depending on how long it takes to get there and what's going on in Albion. Well, you want us to fight this? I mean, I guess they do have a sister of Avalorn. Is this a defensive structure? No. Okay, fine, we'll fight that. Might not be too bad of a fight. Might be a fun fight is what I'm getting at. Anyway, ARRY. While there are other Bretonnians here, we're going to just ignore them. You are going to set sail. Not so much for Albion yet. It's always yet, isn't it? But to the pieces of 8. There is a piece of 8 right... right here. Alright, so you're gonna go this way and go grab that. Although, to be fair, it is through this area, so you could go hit this and then go to sea there.
I don't care for this order. This will achieve.
It is a lot of knights. Might still be fun to fight. And I've been really enjoying this army. Alright, you know what, let's move everybody else, I'll think about it. Which probably means I'm just gonna fight it because it's fun, but anyway. You are gonna grab this sea corpse and approach a carcass, and let's see how the auto-resolve does this time. Alright, that one worked out reasonably well, let's heal up. I'm almost wondering whether you might be able to auto-resolve the Skull Reefs. It would be nice if you could. Free Talisman of Protection and a little bit of cash, and you can reach the Skull Island here, but I think we'll wait. We'll heal up to full before hitting it, just in case. Good job, Charles. I can't believe there's 2 Skull Islands right beside each other. You're gonna go right there, and we are going to keep leveling you up, so let's get you a Reanimated Marksman, which will buff these guys up a little bit more. The deckhands mobs should probably be replaced with boarding crew, to be perfectly frank, and if we have spare time, if we can get Two Toes Adley to make those for you. Speaking of Two Toes Adley, 1 turn away from the Great Cabin, and ooh, we should also check the other lords. Not Maddie, not Charles, not Two Toes, because I just checked. Yeah, Burke Black. Oh, right, we have to think about what to do with you. Just give it a minute. You... Army, are you able to... Okay, this guy's gonna leave, which is fine. 37k for sacking it, eh? That's pretty good. I mean, it is a tier 5, which we could occupy for ourselves, but... close victory. It's gonna damage us, but it is what it is. It's gonna damage us heavily, but it is what it is. And we will establish Pirate Cove and still manage to get 18k, so half as much as if we were to sack it. We probably would never earn that much, but once again, I'm not intending to take territory, so establish Pirate Cove. And then just sit there, I guess. In camp stance. Can you reach this army now? You can. Beautiful. We've been waiting for this guy. So you're going to delete the zombie pirate gunnery mob, the regular gunnery mob. And I'm a little bit worried that these guys can still attack us because the garrison's probably going to come back. But anyway, here we will build one of the money-making ones, which is you, Picaroon's hideout. And then Tommy Wolseley, you're going to get into the army. Probably I should have done that before attacking so that he could rack up a little bit of XP, but it is what it is as well. We might also maybe want to move the Vampire Fleet Captain out of this army and then get another gunnery white in here. It's probably more advantageous to do so. I'll think about it. Oh, also, you could probably use the Ship's Carpenter to build stuff, so let's get you the Ship's Carpenter. Like, oh, for the love of you have maxed out stuff. You have a Ranger Standard, the Unliving Ship's Cook, which is fine. You have the Hold Banner of Militia, you're probably going to recruit at least some stuff. The Ranger Standard, probably not crazy useful on you here. Let's lose it. Even though repositioning himself does have repositioning him does have value. Cannons for you, so we can have that up and running, and then we'll keep on saving for the rest of the stuff here as needed. Alright, and just out of curiosity, this will allow you to build deck gunners, but it won't allow you to build cannons, which was the thing. Well, actually, technically, necrophexes are the thing, but that's not happening right now anyway. The rest of this is fine. Alright, let us, however, level these guys up, because I think we need to. Cackle Fruit and All Hands Fire into, I guess, Enchanted Ballistics, like so, and then we'll level you up next. You have Lucky Spyglass, but we'll want to max out Scupperum, for it's an artillery army after all. We'll want to max out Ammo Sacks, we'll want to grab Powder Keg, and we'll want to keep going through Open the Bunghole. Like so, and then you... wait. Did I do the artillery bonus for you? I did, Arsonist, okay. And you have ensorcelled weapons. Technically speaking, Hardened by Death does buff the necrophexes, who I guess could use the buffs. And in theory... Rotten Death will buff them as well, and that might help with the auto-resolve. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through Rotten Death. Nothing else here is important. We will get the passive Kiss of the Deep. And then let's put 3 points in Tenacity as well. Alrighty, you could probably go with Tenacity as well, couldn't you? Yes, but also Replenish Troops should be maxed out. Nothing here, unless I'm mistaken, buffs artillery in any way. I suppose technically Feed the Fish will buff the melee damage of the necrophexes, which is something. Let's get Kidnapping to increase the healing, though. For emergencies, we'll definitely need Invocation of the Heck and Drown Dead to act as melee units. Curse of Years in emergencies is good as well because of the massive amount of melee reduction, so we'll do that. And just hope that we don't get rushed into needing it. Alright, that's good. But you're going to ignore Miragliano, you're going to... Oh, we can set up another thing at B now, can't we? Oh, wait, no, it's not a port. Okay, well then we'll go this way and go for the Great Mills, because I'm still intending to trade that away. Two Toes, Burke Black, I'm thinking about you, don't worry. Charlie. And Wolfick. Been waiting for you, buddy. Deathmaster Snitch has moved southward towards Rikarth's territories, which is a little bit annoying, but it is what it is. And, ooh, Rikarth. You know, a good job taking all of this stuff. Alright, we'll leave you to your devices. Charlie, I would like you to fight Wolfick. I'm a little bit concerned that there might be a full stack there, but, well, Charlie, she's pretty good, so I think she should be able to handle it. Let's see what we got in terms of points here. Now, Tenacity is great. I think we still want to max out Curse of Undeath, Invocation of the Heck, and probably Drown Dead, unless we need something in the red line. We just have guns and deck droppers and some artillery, which would be Black Powder Overload. So that's probably what we still want to go through. Man, I wanted to do... well, you should get the Hunger, but yeah, we'll go through Black Powder Overload, or at least start moving through it. You... What are we missing here? Anything important? We have Old Salt, we should get Feed the Fish, so let's get you Evasion in case you get attacked by stuff, which is, you know, decently likely to happen. Big ol' Kraken's Pull. Just in case as well. And you know what, get Raise Your Cutlass, even though we mostly have ranged units, but a little bit of extra melee defense. It's something. It's not a lot, but it's something. Powder Wet into Scupperum into Lucky Spyglass, and we only have 2 artillery pieces in this army, so this isn't as useful. So I think we'll still probably want to go through Ammo Sacks, but maybe we'll hold off on Scupperum. Lucky Spyglass for you. And then you can actually max out into Utility Belt so that you can chuck stuff at stuff. You, go after Wolfick now. We had a mission to kill him for so long, and he is not going to run. Oh, he's at war with the Skaven, which is why he didn't attack Bilbali, and that's why they don't move in. Valiant defeat, casualties high, and, ooh, 87 weapon strength on those Marauder Berserkers. Do they hit harder than Depth Guard? Damn. That's pretty nice. Alright, you go, Berserkers. Alright, here we go. We've finally found Wolfick after him having eluded us for the vast majority of this particular campaign. We were looking for him earlier in order to complete the mission to get him, but yeah, he eluded us. But I guess to find a Wolfick, sometimes you just have to stop looking. Anyway, he does have Soul Crusher in his particular army, but that's probably not going to help him as it is way, way too far, and it is a big old target for us. Tier 5 unit, and it's probably got a lot of scary stuff on it. Oh, it's got 50% ward save. Did it already activate it? I don't know if it did, but it's probably not gonna have the chance, as the Wraithstorm Carronades in combination with the deck guns will bring Soul Crusher down. Now, we'd possibly like to do the same thing to Wolfick himself, but when playing this, I couldn't actually see him. Why? He has a stock on that big old mammoth of his, so good for him. We'll have to target other things, and so we shall. The deck guns will continue, or deck guns, the deck droppers, the deck things are confusing, will focus down the enemy range first as best they can. The 2 units of pistol wielders will go after the enemy unit of marauder horses here, and a little bit of a range shootout. Frankly, we could move towards them and force the enemy to run, but these guys fire in all directions anyway, so they don't really care. We got, just out of curiosity, we've got 45% missile resistance on the deck droppers. It's decent, but as we saw when Charlie Wake's army fought the second verse of the Sea Shanty enemies, it isn't quite enough to protect them from things like Hawk Riders or Way Watchers, the elite range units, especially in numbers. Fortunately, it is, by the looks of it, enough to deal with the marauder horses. Out here, same thing is happening with the gunnery white leading the deck droppers with handguns. Gotta remember to get a couple gunnery whites in our flying army as well. The way that the bats carry them and they just fire at enemies is just so amusing. I love these units. It was always so disappointing in the day where they were almost not worth using when they originally came out, or at the very least are a little bit too fragile and not damaging enough for their purposes, but yeah, I certainly like them at this point. And have for, you know, a long time at this point. I mean, yeah. Their release was a long time ago now. Anyway, the enemy infantry will move towards us, and well, Wolfick has appeared. I don't know why he decided to move this way. Maybe he wanted to try to flank us. I'm not sure. But that does mean that he got too close to the deck droppers with pistols, and they will fire into him and his mammoth while the carronades focus him as well. We'll leave all of our handguns to fire upon the enemy infantry who attempt to make their way towards this hill, and we'll probably get gunned down in a horrifying manner. There we go. Does look like they will occasionally get close enough for the handgun or the hand cannons to fire. Not just the handguns, but by and large, they're getting absolutely obliterated. Wolfick is on his way out as well, as the carronades and the pistol deck droppers bring him down. Oh wow, he goes flying off that howdah. Maybe that was his attempt at abandoning ship or abandoning howdah. But it didn't work out so well. Neither so for the rest of his army, as most of them are failing to reach us. The Icehorn Marauders on 105 armor, shielded, a regiment of renown, a unit of marauders that's as strong as marauder champions, but not strong enough to weather the storm of gunfire. Sometimes doing things like this sort of very much reminds me of Fall of the Samurai. Alrighty, which I contend was always the best of the historical titles, simply because of the asymmetric gameplay that it offered, which is offered by Total Warhammer in spades. Anyway, with that, Wolfick's army is destroyed. The Marauders turn and attempt to run, but most of them will be gunned down, even as they do, if not all of them, as we also have the deck droppers' advantage of being able to chase and fire into enemies as they move, or I think we only have fire while moving on the pistol wielders, but that's just fine. They do fairly decent damage as well, 132 range and 90 missile strength, which does make sense since their unit size is only 40, and I mean it was higher when they had black powder aplenty, but yeah, we don't have enough gunnery whites to keep them all topped up, just the one. Anyway, we'll chase the enemy down and make sure that Wolfick's army is destroyed at last. Sadly, we no longer have the mission, so we won't get the bonus allegiance from it, but it's the principle of the thing. All right, there we go. That was pretty brutal. Poor Wolfick could do absolutely nothing, regardless of the massive weapon strength inflated stats that the Berserkers had. Well, you gotta get into weapons range in order to get those, in order to make use of said stats, which the enemy did not. We had with 20k and 119 kills, one of the deck droppers did much better than, well, at least a few of the handgunners did better, but still impressed with the deck dropper's capabilities and the pistolier variant as well. Frankly, they did about as well as the cannons did, which is always impressive, even if they are a Wraithstorm rather than regular carronades. Anyway, we're going to ransom the captives because we don't have another choice and we didn't take any damage there. We're going to move to Bilbali here, and this one will auto-resolve and probably take much more damage than, yep, half our army will get destroyed doing it, but we can establish a cove, so happy enough with it. Power Stone, Potion of Strength, etc. and defeated Wolfick the Wanderer gives us campaign movement range, which is nice. We'll go into encamp stance and hopefully we won't get ambush attacked by Skaven as we continue up the coastline, annoying Wolfick and annoying Skaven alike. Frankly, we could probably now trade San Luis and Sabaton to these guys, which might make Deathmaster Snitch go after them, and at the same time might... Ooh, yes, you guys keep moving northward. Which at the same time... Were you going to build something? I think you were going to build the first level of... Wait, what are you missing right now? You have... one second. You have everything that you need. Except for this thing. I mean, you don't really need that, but it is nice to have, so build it. Good for you, trusty Mountford. Eventually you'll need to lose the Promethean Anchor, but you have everything, surprisingly. Which is nice, meaning we can actually get one of these, and if we really wanted to, we could get a ship's wheel in order to get the ability to build those bloated corpses, which is kind of entertaining. Or get a massive recruitment capacity. I mean, this guy was supposed to be the support sort of army for the invasion of Albion, so yeah, I'll think about it. Shouldn't make much of a difference. Anyway, let's see. Let's trade Sahagun to this guy. I don't actually want any money or anything from him. Frankly, we probably shouldn't take it. I really wish that you could ask him to peace out with somebody. But yeah, he's got enough on his plate. Let's just out of curiosity. He doesn't have enough money. Give him Sahagun, and we'll give him San Luis as well. And I figure... that way, if Deathmaster Snitch takes them, he'll be looking to reclaim them, because they were technically once his territories, you know what I mean? I don't know if it'll actually work out that way, but I'm hoping that it will. Alright, trusty Montfort, just stay there, buddy. You're supposed to... Let's see, yeah, you'll meet Cat Sharp, or to meet Jacqueline here, who's going to transfer the flying army to you, as you're going to be the one using them. And you were still waiting for the Salt Lord Scuttlers, and... okay, it'll be 6 turns. So frankly, he'll be at Albion by the time you can recruit them, which is, I guess, fine. Anyway, we are rapidly running out of time here, and ooh, we have an actual building to be building somewhere. Just the one, though, but that's fine. I suppose for those who don't like admin, this campaign has been pretty darn nice. Oseberg, established Pirate Cove, 9,000 gold. Wow. Okay, that's expensive. But hey, these guys broke our trade agreement, so we'll, well, we can still get money from them this way. And that's another Picaroon's hideout. 762 gold per turn? Not too bad. Alrighty, what about the rest of these? Indiana Groans, you will continue sailing down the Great Mortis River and just want to see what's over there and see if there's anything important. You're going to go this way, Treasure Seeker. Treasure Hunter, you are going this way, though... you're probably the closest to Sylvania, so maybe we can send you down here. I just wanted to check what was going on out here, out of curiosity. But maybe we move southward. And just to see if Vlad is willing to ally with us. He is still alive after, well, you know what I mean. Berg Black. Now, this decision still has to be made. This isn't much of an army, but I don't really want to spend or waste time raising dead here, but nonetheless, I guess we'll have to. I mean, get these guys up and running at rank 31. What did I want to do? There's a Plunderer of Death here. Do we have anybody... Does anybody have any kind of spell that slows enemies down, I wonder? Wait. Plunderer... Wait. Where's... Do we have a murderer here? I want to see something. Do murderers... Oh, we don't... Oh, yes, we do have one. They do buff up depth guards, so the pike and shot army will probably want a murderer at the helm. But probably a polearm variant if we can get it. Either way, I thought the next army would be the... I mean, yeah, I know you're only level 22, but I'd rather not wait for another plunderer unless we use one of these plunderers. I don't think there's anything in this lore, in the death lore, that will slow enemies down for us, right? Soulblight does debuff the enemy, but what we're looking for is to spam slowdown capabilities, because I wanted to combine the ghostly helmsman with handguns and Wraithstorm carronades and see if we could essentially halt enemy movement to 0. Just out of curiosity. Allure of the Deep. Does Fog of the Damned slow or does it only debuff? It's Kraken's Pull. Well, I guess you can pop a Kraken's Pull in the midst of an enemy blob, and that technically slows enemies down, but not quite what we wanted here. I mean, I guess it could serve. Not that we have the right type of army for it. Well, then. Wait, what about... Ah, we do have a speed reduction out of Tide Call, I guess. What do you have? We have a Smuggler here. Smuggler, Instigator, Plunderer, and Firestarter, so... Wait. 1 second. Oh, never mind. Never mind. Maybe we should just do the Plunderer here. Because the Murderer will need to go with the melee army. Level 21 is fine. It's fine, whatever. It won't make much of a difference. Unless, wait. Maybe we can just do Lure of Death. Now, but then we'll need 2 Lure of Vampires here, and that army won't be needing too many of those guys, will it? And by those guys, I mean the... Wait. Yes, I know I'm taking way too long on this. But a bunch of extra levels is a bunch of extra levels. Whatever, just do Plunderer. Alrighty, and then just quickly raise 2 hand cannons, because they'll definitely be in the army, and then just a bunch of guns. They're cheap, and it'll just be enough to just rush at this little army, and then kill it, auto-resolve it, and then move forward, like so. Alright, and this army won't be able to do anything, even against a basic force like this. And I assume you can't build what we want here. No, but that's alright. We will have somewhere nearby where we can build stuff. I will want to pay attention to the gunnery weights, though, because this army will need at least 2, possibly more. They'll help slow the enemy down and such. We have point blank to act as melee defenders. Crackshot gives us targeting range for Cackle Fruit, which might be interesting. It isn't a direct slowdown, but what it does do is it disrupts enemy formations. Alright, we'll do one of you, and if we can get another one on field, that would be swell. Alrighty, anyway, that's done. Let's do one more fight. I was hoping for Baron von Heasty this episode, but I think, considering the distance, it's probably not going to happen. We'll have to wait until next episode. For now, oh, we've dropped to negative again. For now, let's do this fight and clamber over those walls with our depth guard, see how well the enemy can hold. Go.
Count Noctilus can rule the great ocean and the waters beyond.
Alrighty, here we go. The enemy garrison is actually pretty darn solid. I mean, it's got a bunch of elite things like those Sisters of Avalorn, Phoenix Guard, and whatnot. But let's face it, no single army from the AI is going to stand a chance against Noctilus. So, in that light, to keep this battle fun, we're not going to use the Necrofex Colossi except as artillery. They were placed in this army in the numbers that we have them to replace the artillery that was previously in this force, so they will serve the same purpose here, knocking down the towers, knocking down the enemy walls, and letting the depth guard move through and, well, deal the final blow and kill all the enemies inside instead. So, we should be able to enjoy them shining in this particular battle. The polearm wielders will be the first through the breach. They got 85 melee defense, so good luck to any enemy melee infantry trying to work through them. The gate has been brought down as well, and the Mourngul Haunter, or one of the Mourngul Haunters, will lead the other depth guard through as we continue breaching the enemy walls with sustained fire from those necrofexes. Breach every single wall and just allow the depth guard to move on in. And hey, it does look like a little bit of polearm on polearm action here as some... Okay, I can't get the camera down. Okay, there it goes. Some polearm on polearm action as the Phoenix Guard will attempt to block the depth guard off. And we wish them luck. They are down by about 30,000 HP. What do they got? 16,500 HP max versus the 13,500 on the depth guard. Ooh, we are down to about 50% HP on these guys, though they've only lost a single model so far. And we gotta make sure to heal them right up. The same story, the same picture is repeating itself on every side of this map as other units face off against each other. Polearm versus polearm and Great Axe versus Twin Axe. We'll see how the White Lions fare against the depth guard with twin axes as well. And of course, we've just left all of the necrofexes back there. They'll fire on whatever units remain on top of the walls, but otherwise they're not going to interfere. We will send Noctilus in because he still deserves to play, but otherwise it's the depth guard's show. And of course, a little bit of other support, like summoning a unit of zombies, not so much to do damage or to even stop the enemy. They were summoned right here behind the enemy force so that they could not escape through the barricade and were forced to fight the depth guard, who are absolutely slaughtering their way through the enemy Lothern Sea Guard. That's hardly surprising, though. We got better enemies to face off against, like those Phoenix Guard, Sisters of Avalorn, and White Lions, who are all very much still in the fight, including a Handmaiden of the Everqueen that appears to be leading the Sisters. And a little bit more action for the Mourngul Haunters as well. There we go. I love these things. They're so creepy. What a fantastic model and unit. Mournguls in general, not just the Haunters. And every time I see them, I still can't help but recall my jealousy when originally they weren't available to the vampire counts and only to the coast, which was always pretty silly. But anyway, and yes, I will continue mentioning that for as long as the game exists, because it was so, I don't know, it felt so weird and short-sighted. Anyway, camera can't come down here, unfortunately, at least not too well, but as we can see, Depth Guard facing off against the White Lions and tearing them to shreds by the looks of it, most of our own units, by the looks of it, also have recovered most of their HP. They, White Lions, we can see them dwindling in numbers as they stand and as they fall. And just a couple left. Frankly, I'm impressed that they haven't routed yet. We don't even need to really pay attention to them, as there are so few left, and there we go. They will break, and as they head out here, any unit that flees the settlement will be gunned down by the Necrovex Colossi. They might be a little bit annoyed at having to act as artillery here rather than as part of the actual battle, but, well, they'll just have to deal with it and gun down the cowards that run. Still, decent amount of enemy units holding here. But Noctilus has come in to help with breaching this wall of flesh as well. And by the looks of it, it won't last too much longer either, as, well, they're Lothern Sea Guard by the looks of it. All the elites have been obliterated, and this means that the Depth Guard will be able to cut through the Lothern Sea Guard. What are their defenses at, by the way? 54, pretty solid. About equivalent to our own boarding crew, but not equivalent to the Depth Guard. Well, actually, equivalent to our boarding crew above 50% HP, but not below it. Alright, just a matter of time now. These are one of the last units of Lothern Sea Guard fighting, and it is probably appropriate to be fighting so many Lothern Sea Guard as well. They are probably pretty darn familiar with vampire pirates, and pirates in general. out of everybody. And we don't use it a lot, but the Kraken's pull will hit one unit of enemy Lothern Seaguard. Pretty much destroys the unit. Just wanted to make sure that these guys stopped firing and to clear them away a little bit as we try to send the Morgul Haunter through their units in order to chase down the enemy Archmage. And it looks like the Morgul Haunter engages and then jumps back in. It wasn't what I was intending, but sometimes it happens. Unlike the AI, you have to constantly babysit units or they will just re-engage things and then stop listening to you, but that's alright. Anyway, with that, it looks like the enemy is just about done. The bounce power, just a tiny sliver, and Noctilus is still attempting to work through the units that were protecting the right flank, or the right portion of the breach in their settlement. Good job to them. Or at least it was, as finally they decide to break, and the battle is ours. Lovely. Well done to the Depth Guard, and didn't need to deal with the enemy with our Necrofexes, and hopefully that gave us a lot of veterancy on the Depth Guard, considering the amount of kills they probably will have racked up. Nice. Alright, very nice. It was very nice to see the Depth Guard shine. The Necrofex Colossi have a bit of a tendency to steal the spotlight, but these guys were purposely allowed to play, and play they did. The Drowned Dragons racking up 186 kills and 32k damage, and then close on their, well, maybe not so much close on their heels, but next in line at 19k. The Sanguine Tide lived up to their name, or at the very least make sure that the enemy settlement resembled one. Anyway, Scroll of Lycos is great, I guess. We will sack the place. It's not like we really need the infamy anymore. And we do kind of need the money, as we're about to build more armies, which will again put us in the very negative. Noctilus, you're going to, I was about to say go into march stance, but I think you're actually at max movement range, so you don't really need to. Head to Stinking Geysers next. And you won't be able to, oh, you will be able to raid. Lovely. Not for much, but just keep on doing so. And we're going to the coast now, so we will go through this, but then we'll go this way. In fact, maybe we'll have Maddie sack Blackclaw layer, or possibly even raise it so that it's not in the, oh wait, actually, can it be in the way? I think it can't be in the way either way. And man, the Lord of Loremasters did pretty good. They had a lot of territory. Unfortunate for them that we learned about it, but yeah, and I see that Balthazar Gelt is still hanging around here, so we'll try to chase him down. I hope he has a proper stack for us. Anyway, ARRY is the only one really that's left. Oh, right, Burke Black. Well, since we didn't peace out with these guys, I guess we're heading towards them, so move close to Stiani. We'll sack this, and then, or more Urbina, whichever one we can reach. And is Viadaza also a port? Alright, so we got a Cove, sack, Cove, and then Cove, so maybe we hit Viadaza and then go back this way? Although I don't want to go too far down this way. I mean, I guess we don't necessarily need to make a port thing at Port of Major, and if we really wanted to, we could just get another one of these pirate captains to do it for us, eh? Anyway, who needed to move other than... I just want to see whether we can end the turn. Other than Burke Black and other than ARRY. And I guess it's just ARRY. Alright, fine. ARRY, you're going to get one more battle going. We'll hit Alençon. And then we'll sail out of there afterwards, as it is the last settlement on the way to Dastan Koldai. Ooh, that's going to be a great fight. Dastan always has a fantastic Dark Elf army. Jealous of those Charybdises. I'd love to have those on our own. But anyway, let's level this up, as it is Pyrrhic victory, and we'll do one more fight this episode. Last long episode, so we gotta make it count. This is gonna be, what, the 6th battle or something along those lines? Pretty darn nice. Let's go for Monkey Jacket for you, I think. Start building you out to be a fighter. You two. We should probably have Kidnapping, just so it buffs up Relentless troops, and then obviously Arcane Conduit, and then you can have Earthing... Ow. Whatever. Whatever. And then you, Gianni Vol, you don't need Open the Bunghole. I guess we could get ammo sacks, in theory. You're decently melee tanky now, and making you more better, more better at range isn't going to help all that much. Anyway, that's a lot of knights, but we've faced a lot of knights before. We faced the Lord of the Knights, Lewin, and they've all failed. So I don't imagine that they have, that they're going to do much better. Oh, questing knights as well, nice. Still don't imagine that they'll do much better against ARRY. Here, go. Alright, here we go. One more fight for ARRY and his boarding crew. He is certainly shaped up to be one of the most fighty lords of this particular campaign, if not the most fighty lord, and should enjoy the sort of massive pile of cavalry that we have arrayed against us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 units of melee cav, and 1 unit of range cav, not counting all the other range units. Anyway, we're going to start the battle off by gunning said cab down as best we can. The bigger targets will be the questing knights and the knights of the realm, as the knights errant can by and large be ignored. I assume they have knights errant. They should probably have a bunch of different types of units. Yeah, there's some knights errant on the right flank together with some mounted yeomen, and if the enemy wants to move their more critical targets around like this, we'll certainly take advantage and fire at them as best we can. We do still see about half of these shots from our carronades smash into the trees, unfortunately, but that's just the nature of fighting on the Bretonnian maps, and that's why we deployed in sort of the clearest portion of the battlefield where we could. I suppose we could have done the same thing on this side, but yeah, we can still see just this one copse has blocked so darn many shots of ours. But at least the Sea King missiles from the Wraith Storm carronades will still hit the enemy and apply their Wraith Storm to them. It's not much, but it's better than nothing. Alright, and firing upon the enemy yet continues. There are a few more units, some Knights of the Realm moving into the center, as it looks like the enemy army has decided to try to hit us from every single side with cavalry at the same time, rather than just from the flanks. Which is why we've deployed in such a way where we are hoping to protect our carronades with the boarding crew. The main issue here is that, as we've seen before when we fought Bretonnian knights, they absolutely have enough mass to charge through the boarding crew who don't have the charge defense or the cavalry bane or charge reflection, whatever, to allow them to brace against the enemy charges properly. That said, if an enemy unit wants to move towards us like this Knights of the Realm, they will get gunned down by range fire from the boarding crew. Hybrid units they may be, but they still do fairly decent armor-piercing missile damage. And, oh, lost control of the camera there for a second. Same thing over here as the questing knights move forward. Frostbite will slow them down, but not enough. But them charging at the Ghost Helmsman is probably a waste of their talents. Alrighty, and the enemy range units have arrived. Pox arrows, fire arrows, and regular arrows all landing into our boarding crew, but once again we have massive amounts of missile and physical resistance on them, so I think they should be able to weather the storm just fine. Certainly against things, I don't know, like Sisters of Avalorn, magical arrows, and armor-piercing arrows, they would have suffered a lot more, but like this, they should be pretty okay, even with the sheer amount of enemy fire coming in. Does look like the enemy will try to focus the Ghost Helmsman first, but they have maxed out physical and missile resistance. Though with their small HP, as we've seen before, they will still take a fair bit of damage, and oh wow, that was actually pretty cool. The knights charged in and then died to gunfire, and their mounts still kept their momentum. Well, the game certainly has a lot of fantastic, a lot of beautiful elements like that. Alright, rather than, you know, the mounts just dropping to the ground and losing their momentum, which might have otherwise happened depending on the title. Anyway, the enemy's melee troops are moving in, or at least some of them are moving in. A lot of them are having a difficult time weathering the storm of missile fire for once. Certainly not something the boarding crew has been relying on in terms of the vast majority of the battles that they've had, but it is nice to see them gun down enemies a little bit and live up to the whole hybrid unit thing, rather than being forced mostly into melee. Alrighty, on the right flank, the enemy has arrived with a lot of cav, a paladin leading a bunch of knights and a bunch of peasants as well. By the looks of it, we very well might get overrun on the right flank. On the left flank, more enemy cav are moving in as well. And, oh, it looks like this unit is in diamond formation, will charge right through the boarding crew and into the carronades behind them. Yep, that was always the danger, and then they will stop while fighting the carronades. Hopefully the gunnery white can keep them distracted. And here come the rest of the knights in reserve, charging right through those boarding crew. Once again, we're going to summon the units of rotting Prometheans in their way and attempt to back the cannons off, but they have absolutely broken through our center, and are very much now a danger to all of our artillery. Hopefully we don't lose them, as I wouldn't want to lose the high veterancy units at this point. Our heroes have all essentially contracted to the center. You can see their crabs, wherein they will be going after the enemy single entity, or the enemy low entities, the knights, in order to try to keep the artillery safe. Have to keep our altars of the abyss where they are, though. While they would be doing good at blocking the enemy off, we also need them to provide the missile resistance and the armor aura to the boarding crew, who without them would be admittedly more fragile. We're using the Wrath of Aminar to clear out some of the peasant mobs and stuff. It's not going to do too much against the knights, but hopefully our other units will be able to clear them. Gotta love the big ol' effect of that. And it looks like our cannons are still around. Knights Errant are not as threatening, and we have managed to move at least a few boarding crew back to our, back line to protect the artillery as well. And they should have no problem holding Knights Errant off, even if they do struggle against Knights of the Realm and Questing Knights. And by the looks of it, the balance of power has shifted to about 90% in our favor. A decent amount of knights, I'm sure, will rally and charge us again. But these ones, for example, are being slowed down quite considerably. 29 move speed between the combination of Frostbite and Wraithstorm. And yes, I'm still intending to make that slow the heck down army and see if we can't combine Frostbite, Wraithstorm, and then Stagger Shot from a bunch of hand cannons. I'm wondering if we can make units stop in their tracks, essentially, and be unable to move. Because if that's possible, it'll be quite a nice army, and the extremely low range of the Ghost Helmsman will then not matter in that particular situation. In this situation, though, it looks like we are pretty much victorious. That enemy paladin has been annoying us for a long time now. What he keeps doing is not engaging with ARRY, doesn't want to duel him, and just bouncing around in our backline between the different carronades, between our gunnery white, and just being a menace. And ARRY continues to chase after him, and oh well, that's not a place you want to be, stuck between two crabs and that nature. And it looks like with that, the paladin will break, and the rest of his army will shatter, and the battle will be ours. Definitely came a little bit uncomfortably close to having our carronades destroyed. Once again, gotta remember how extraordinarily fragile the crews are, but we did manage to pull it off, and frankly, damage-wise, in terms of our boarding crew, they didn't take too much damage. Sure, they got charged, but the ones that did get charged got healed up, and the enemy missiles and the enemy men-at-arms or the enemy peasants really didn't do too much to them. And great job, ARRY. I'm very proud of you and your army. Ah, there we go. Absolutely beautiful. It's so nice to see how much more powerful our little boarding crews have grown over the course of the campaign. This army has been with us since the very start, the longest after Noctilus' own army, and they've had their ups and downs, at the very least losing a couple units here and there, but over time have grown very strong. And that's once again with just the tier 2 boarding crews and tier 1 carronades, tier 2 Wraithstorm carronades. Nothing crazy in here, with the possible exception of the Ghost Helmsman, who did surprisingly decently in this particular battle. Good job for them, or to them. Lovely. Anyway, well done to ARRY as well, and it looks like 35k and 402, one of the unnamed boarding crew, although the Corpse Face Corps and the Waterlogged Warriors did decently well as well. 22k on the Drunken Sailors. Frankly, everybody in this army did roughly the same, other than a couple of units that did much better or much worse. Anyway, we'll sack the place. And then we'll move right past it, and I guess we could raid while we move. You know what, I'd rather cover more distance. I think our money is okay. Our infamy is okay, and we want to try to get to Dastan Coldeye next turn, so we'll encamp here and get ready to move. And hey, we even left Castle Kuhan alone, meaning... I don't know how much sack... No, I mean, there's no need. Though they do have a nice garrison. I gotta stop. It's just amusing at this point. Yeah, we should send ARRY to hunt down the two last pieces of 8. It's not like Noctilus is gonna get back up here. Anyway, I am gonna call the episode here. We're obviously out of time. I have a ton of editing to do with all of the battles that we did in this particular campaign. Next time we hunt down Balthazar Gelt, we hopefully move towards Baron von Heasty with Noctilus, and we continue on the path to Albion, though we are starting to close the distance. 1, 2, 3 turns away from the shoreline, 4 turns away from our first attack, by the looks of it. Certainly getting there. It'll be 3 turns, because I'll end this turn between the episode to deal with some of the admin. Anyway, stay tuned for more Noctilus. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below, as they will determine how long we keep doing this campaign for. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.